Back to Timeout with JAG. I'm Jay over here, and it's G over there.
Yo, what is going on, everyone?
And today we are back with another episode. We ended up not doing one on Saturday. We were in here, and we were just like, there's only like three or so games that were played between Wednesday's recording and Saturday's recording, and it's like I actually was busy and I didn't get a chance to watch them, so we didn't really want to come on here and talk about only a couple games when we didn't watch them. It just we didn't want to force out fake content for you guys, so we decided to scrap it. We let a couple more games play out. And yeah, we're back here on Wednesday now. Are you excited? You know what I mean?
Oh, hell yeah, I'm excited. More games have been done in the playoffs. We're looking very interesting, to
Yeah,
say the least, in how these series have been turning out in the second round.
I think the last time we talked, no joke, I think the Timberwolves were up 2-0.
I believe so.
And if you look at the bottom left now, that is no longer the case. That is very
Yeah,
much not the
it's
case.
it's been a shocker, to say the least.
Yes, yeah, yes and no, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Is there anything you want to start with? Anything you want to talk about, like kind of outside the playoffs before we get into the playoffs?
Not really. Don't really have anything.
I did. There was one thing I did want to start just before. Caitlin Clark had her WNBA debut last night. I don't know if you watched any of that game.
I actually did.
You did? Okay.
I
So
did.
we'll look here, and I mean, it was a game. She had 20 points, 3 assists, 10 turnovers. Um, wasn't I don't think it was a game people were expecting out of her, but it's her first ever game. Did you really have any thoughts on it?
I mean, not really. It's you bump up a level. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? No matter what sport it is, when you bump up to that next level, it's going to be hard. You know what I mean? Like when you go from high school to college, or even if you go from like the freshman team to JV or JV varsity, there's going to be a level jump in competition. You know what I mean? And even remember when I don't really want to compare him, but when Wembenyama took some of his first minutes in the NBA, everyone was questioning like, is this guy really actually going to be that good? Now, obviously, a lot of people have eaten them words, but we got to give it time. And she's
Mm-hmm.
only a rookie.
Oh, 100%. It's her first ever game, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a step up from college basketball to the professional league. It's no matter like I said, no matter what league you're in, it's a step up. And the 10 turnovers things really was kind of the part that was like, it kind of stuck out to me. But again, it's a different pace game. It's a different. She's going to be. I confidently can say I think she's going to be good. I really, really do, and I wouldn't take too much stock into just the first game. Like you said with Wemby, the first like month or two of the season for Wemby, people were like, oh, like he was like you could tell it was there, but it wasn't what the hype was. And then, like I said, after he got some reps in a couple months into the season, he ended up, I mean, just washing Rookie of the Year, just taking it away. Not even I mean, he was in talks for Depoy. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, I think you give Caitlin Clark. I know they only play 30 or 40 some games, so their season's not as long as the NBA. But by game 15, I think we're going to be seeing a very, very good version of Caitlin Clark.
And also to that is just like a lot of people had this expectation that she was going to come in and absolutely dominate like she did in college, and
Hmm.
that's just not it. It's not going to happen. It wasn't an expectation a lot of people had. Absolutely. You go on Twitter, you see some of the talking heads, they expected something, big to happen, but when you cut it down to it, the it's the competition she was playing in. Like if you look at the Big 10 for women's basketball, there's not a whole lot there. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? And the competition she had until she got to the tournament for the most part.
Yeah.
And then now you're going into the WNBA to where it's pretty much quote unquote the best of the best.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
not going to be easy no matter what.
And I actually saw a lot of conversations on Twitter about it, from both sides. From the sides of like, obviously, you have the side of Twitter that's going to call her a bust right away. But I don't even take stock into that at all because I don't know. I'm sure you remember that one episode I dropped. I dropped it singularly because you weren't there. It was only like a half-hour episode, and it was when Wemby had his 5x5, his first 5x5, like I don't know, it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Um, and I made a comment that like I made a comment with Wemby that if you were expecting him to come in and average 30 and 10 or 30 and 15 and like 5 blocks right away, you were an idiot. Like it's not how that works, and it's the same way with Caitlin Clark. It's like if you're watching one game of Caitlin Clark where in her first ever game she turns the ball over a lot and calling her a bust, it's just like you're not really even watching. You're just there to make a hot take on Twitter.
Exactly, and it's uncalled for, but
Hmm.
in the society that we are today, it's gonna happen a lot more. It's gonna happen a lot more than what it actually should.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to talk that. I mean, like I said, she's the most hyped women's prospect that I can remember. I don't know. I'm sure there's been some pretty hyped up women's prospects in the past, but at least in the past 5 to 10 years, I think she's by far the most hyped women's athlete coming into the WNBA.
Oh yeah,
Um,
can I say one thing real quick before
yeah.
we get into the meat of this episode? Also, Bronny James
Oh
is
yes.
gonna stay in the draft.
Hmm.
I just want to say one thing. People are acting like he's supposed to be the next LeBron,
Hmm.
right?
That's
And
unfortunately the
people,
namesake.
yes, and people are also forgetting that maybe less than a year ago he went into cardiac arrest, or about
Hmm.
a year ago he went into cardiac arrest.
Hmm.
And the reason he played as much as he did was because they were protecting him and making sure that it didn't happen again, or to make sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were making sure that it didn't happen again and that they could get him back to playing more and more minutes because of that cardiac arrest. And that's why people look at, oh, he only had averaged, like 4 something points, whatever. When he wasn't getting a lot of PT from what I could see, or he wasn't getting a lot of plays for him, which was mainly because of that cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And I know he did show out at I believe the combine. He recorded like a 40 something inch vertical jump. He hit like 16 threes or 18 threes, something like that. I don't have the number up in front of me, but it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I think he's going to be a late first, second round pick. Probably he's probably going to go first.
He
But I
might just
wonder.
because of the potential rumors of LeBron wanting to come play with him.
Yeah. I feel like he's gonna. I hope that he doesn't get thrusted into a situation that is gonna hurt him even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Detroit or someone like that drafts him expecting LeBron to come. LeBron doesn't come, and then there's Bronny basically treading water out there. I hope he succeeds. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know, there was a quote I saw. I don't know if it's from Dan Wokey Sports. I don't know if it's a real this. I don't know if there's a real quote or not. But apparently, a quote from Bronny is that players like Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Davion Mitchell are NBA players he thinks affect winning in ways he wants to as a pro. So he's taking more the approach of the defensive minded guard. Like you know what I mean? Like he's not, and I kind of like that approach because like we saw Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Davion Mitchell. I mean, Davion Mitchell's a little bit younger on a Kings team, you know what I mean? But like even guys like Pat Bev and stuff like that, those type of players stay around for a long time.
They do.
They might play for 6 different teams, but they'll keep getting contracts because they're just like you need that guy that's going to come in and bring high energy, play good defense, and just you know what I mean. That's what those guys kind of offer. Then they offer some light playmaking skills. And it takes like Drew Holiday, or you have games like Derek White where he just dropped 30 some in the playoffs. It's like those guys can pop off, but they're mainly there for defensive purposes, and that's kind of what something that's been that's what's like that's been kind of the comp he's been getting recently. He's like more of a defensive minded guard. And you know what? I know he's young, and I don't want to put this on him right away, but I don't know if I don't know if Bronny will ever be a superstar in this league. I don't know if he maybe even ever be a star. He might not be an all-star player at all. But if he can carve out a role if he can carve out a career of a good role player, then that gets you paid, that keeps you with the job. And honestly, most NBA legends that have kids in basketball don't do well at all.
They don't.
So if he can at least be in there, like obviously you have like the Del Curry, Steph, and Seth Curry, like that's like some of the top thing. Donovan Mitchell's dad was in the league. Klay Thompson's dad was in the league. Kobe's like there are some greats with dads in the league, but I just think Bronny would find himself on a very short list of successful NBA stars kids.
Yeah, and I don't want that for him. I really don't. I hope everyone's kids succeed. And you could even look at the list of one that's in league right now. who's trying to be on the come up, Scottie Pippen Jr. I know he was
Yeah.
playing on Memphis for a little bit this year because of all the injuries they had, and I don't wish ill on anyone. I really don't, and I hope people have successful careers. But the fact of life is not everyone's gonna have success in what they try and do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I was looking up the stats for the game before we get in there. Um, uh, so, what game do you want to start with first?
We can start with the Timberwolves.
I kind of want to save that one for last because I think that's the most talking points I have. If you don't, I understand it's that's kind of the biggest game, so I kind of want to save it for last. Um,
And we can
I'd
talk
rather
about
start
the
with the Boston series because I think it's the most series.
yeah.
Plus, I feel
Yeah.
like you've definitely watched the Boston team way more than I have, so I kind of just want to hear your takes on them being up 3-1. And their reports are that it's very unlikely Donovan Mitchell is playing tonight for Game Five.
Yeah, I mean, this Boston team is just very, very weird. And the reason I say that is because they they don't play good at home. And what I mean that is just like if you look at both the first round and second round so far, they've lost 2 games. Both of them are at home. And in the
Yeah,
past, I think 4 years, 4 or 5 years, they are 14 and 14 at home in the playoffs.
yeah. Or is it 15
It's
to 15 now?
it might be, I
It's
think it's
it's either it's
15 and
500
15.
basically either way. Yeah,
Yeah, it's 500, and that's disgusting. That is very, very bad. Now their away record has been better. I don't have that offhand, but I know it's been better. But you just can't have that. And going up 3-1 against the Cavs is nice. If they can finish it out here, and then the Knicks and Pacers go to 7, I feel like that is like the best case scenario.
yeah.
So you get Boston a little bit more rest, get the starters a little bit more rest. But Tatum, man, aside from the past 2 games where he dropped 33, it's been something to see. Not
We
much to see, I
okay.
should say.
I was gonna yeah okay. Well, did you have more to that before I jumped in?
Not not really. I mean, Derek White was the savior of the one game when he dropped 30 something, but
I like I said the past 2 games, Jason Tatum has definitely been better, and that's something we actually talked about last episode, where it's like how far can this Celtics team go with Jason Tatum not playing like the superstar that he is? And I mean, fortunately for them right now, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Celtics team because they're a very very good team. But fortunately for them, they've just gone against opponents that just really like the Heat are nowhere near the talent level of the Celtics. Last year, the Heat were on fire and had the run, and that's great and all. But realistically, the Heat just do not have the talent to match up with the Celtics. So the Celtics were able to breeze past them with Tatum not playing as like what you're used to. A lot of it's because Derek White basically took the spot of the superstar on the team. Um,
pretty much.
but then even in this series, like Donovan Mitchell's missed now 2 or 3 games, and even with Donovan Mitchell, this Cavs team doesn't compare to the talent of the Celtics. Like the Celtics have by far the best team in the Eastern Conference, so it's like I feel confident of them getting through the Eastern Conference with Tatum playing like he has most of the playoffs. It's the problem is when you get here to the middle because you're going to be going against any of these 4 teams are not going to lose to the Celtics if Tatum is playing like he was. It's just because at one point he was averaging like 21 points per. Like I said, this is and not counting like the last 2 because he's been better, but he was averaging like 21 points on like 40% shooting from the floor and less than 30% from three. You know
Yeah,
why
it's
he's less than 30? Because he keeps taking them stupid sidestep threes. I swear to God, I don't understand it. He has the physical tools to get to the basket. The Celtics don't get to the basket at all for the team they are. For the talent they have, they do not get to the basket enough. But a lot of it's because Jason Tatum loves to just shoot the like. I understand he's a good shooter usually, and maybe that like getting to 3 points is better than getting to 2 points. But I feel like dude settles for sidestep threes way too often.
you're right. I can't argue with that. I really can't. And the other thing that's really hurting them is the Porzingis injury. And I'm not going to use any
Yeah,
excuse
no, you're
if we
right.
lose or anything because injuries happen. The Knicks are all banged up, and they're still holding on in this series. I believe they have the lead now, but especially with Porzingis out, Tatum's got to step up.
Yeah,
Like the past 2 games are dropping 33. That's cannot be. Oh well, he finally dropped 33. That's got to be a daily occurrence almost. Like he's got to be getting 28, 29, 30, 34. You know what I mean? Like he's got to be playing to his peak. Now I know you have Jaylen Brown, Derek White went for 30, but he still has to get his, or at least be efficient with the shots that he takes.
Yeah.
Um, and I know there are some people out there. I seen it. I think it was last night. I think it was. I think it was Pardon the Interruption, and they were talking about the free throw differential between the Cavs and the Celtics, and they basically said it was just like, hey, the Cavs took 40 something threes, and I believe Boston had like 50 something points in the paint. It, you know what I mean? Like if you're shooting threes, you're not going to draw fouls. That's for any team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're shooting inside and getting consistent looks inside, then you're going to potentially get foul calls.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like for the team that the players that Celtics have, I just don't understand how they don't like they just don't attack the paint usually. Like I said, and then when they do, they're good. Um, I don't know. It's just something about the Celtics team that like I, I'm trying to think of how to put this in words. It's and okay. Let me just say this, and then I'll give what I think I came up with my own answer in my head while I was thinking about the question. But let me post the question first, and then I'll give my answer to it. Um,
Okay.
there's something with this Celtics team right now that is just missing. Like there's something about them that makes me just not. They're the best team in the East, and I think they're going to make the finals. But I don't know. And my answer I kind of came up with in my head is two different things. Obviously, one, the Kristaps injury. That's a big key piece to be missing. You're winning games without him because you're still just a better team than the Cavaliers. But you're going to need him. You might need him in this Knicks series if the Knicks end up advancing. But we'll get to that in a minute. But the other thing is again what we've been lacking from Tatum. If Tatum is playing like All Star MVP type of Tatum, you guys could dead ass be 8-0 in these playoffs right now and already be waiting for the Knicks in the conference finals.
Yeah, we very well could be.
And that
Very, very
would
well
be
could
great
be.
too, because we have Kristaps plenty of time to rest.
It would be. The one thing I do gotta say about the Miami series is it's hard to beat a team
Hmm.
when they break their franchise record shooting threes
Oh, for sure,
or
for
making
sure.
threes. That's hard. But I don't know what they were doing in this Cavs series game two. Is it game two itis or something like that? They can't perform in game two or something.
Apparently, that's been a thing for years with them. I don't, I don't really know. It's just something, but I mean, it doesn't really affect them too badly. But you know, what I mean, so, but yeah, you talk about that Heat game, and you're right. They lose by 10. That's with Kristaps having 6 points.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Um, Derek White only gives you 13. Drew Holiday only gives you 9. So that I mean, Tatum gave you 28, 8, and 3. You got 33 from Jaylen Brown. If you get your help from your role players, you probably get out of that series even with that. I mean, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like you lose by 10 when they break their record, and you only lose by 10 when three of your role players starters score less than under double digits. You know what I mean? You very easily could have won that game even with them shooting recordly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that obviously doesn't matter. 'Cause you guys ended up winning, and I mean, I have Boston in 5. I know you made a comment earlier that maybe you could see them losing tonight. Can you give me your reasoning behind that?
It's kind of like the whole thing to where you lose your star player, their backs against the walls. It's now or never. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they win this game. Like it could be the mentality is like, hey, if we win this, Brunson could be back for the next one. We tie this up, three apiece, and then let's go take it to Boston or something like that. And also, I don't like talking about this a whole lot, but when the spread is 15 and a half points, I understand Brunson's out, but 15 and a half, wild to
Uh,
me. And usually
Donovan
when
Mitchell,
it's
not Brunson.
that's right, that's right. Sorry, 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 sorry.
I don't think Brunson being
Um,
out affects your guys' series that much.
yeah, next round maybe if we win,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
that's later. That's later. But no, if Mitchell with Mitchell being out,
Hmm.
even then I don't think that the spread should be 15 and a half. When I see something like that, that's when it gets me just like something's going on.
It just feels like an upset.
It does.
It
It does
feels
when it's
too. It feels too concrete to be concrete.
yes.
I get that.
Very much so. Very much so. And when this happens, I get a little scared. Not gonna lie.
I mean,
Because
hey,
last
maybe
thing,
maybe Darius Garland has another big game. He had a 30 piece last game, and I mean, you ended up winning the game, but Darius Garland seems to only play good when Donovan Mitchell's not there. So maybe this is a Darius Garland 40 piece. You know what I mean? Max Strus fucking hates you guys. Max Strus
he
hates the
does.
Celtics. Maybe he'll go for a 30 piece. You know what I mean? You never know. It,
I
it
mean,
could
he
it could literally
literally.
just be like the Max Strus game in Game 5, and he drops 30 and you guys lose, and just you win in 6 next game.
I want to win in five.
I mean, I get that. You want as you guys want as much rest as possible. You guys are probably. I mean, you have to worry about the Kristaps injury, but you guys aren't really dealing with anything else, right? I think that's it.
Knock on wood, no.
Well, yes, of course, yeah.
Knock on wood.
But the reason I
But
was
no,
saying that is
that's
because between OKC, obviously, again, knocking on wood, really are pretty healthy going through this entire run. But other than them, you guys are the most healthy as well. Um, Obviously, Kristaps is a good player, but he's not JB and Jason Tatum. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Whereas, like, obviously, the Knicks, we'll get into them, but they have a shit ton of injuries. I mean, they're atrociously injured. Jamal Murray's been dealing with his stuff, and they've had a couple other things. Boston's been pretty lucky with their injuries that Kristaps kind of got injured in a point in time where they don't really need him.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it'd be
Yeah.
great for him to play for sure. I'm not wishing, but like,
Yeah.
you guys are fine without him right now. You'd rather
Yeah.
it
For right
happen
now.
now in the first and second round than in the conference finals NBA championship.
Yeah, I mean, given those two times, yes, I would rather it happen now and
Hmm.
give him time to rest and recuperate, get ready, and then if we make it to the finals, big if there,
Well, of course, yes.
big if we do make it, I want him fully healthy. I mean, realistically, I would have rather have had this happen in a regular season, but it's here and now, and we just got to deal with it and move on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Pretty much. Is there? We kind of blew through that, but like I said, there's just Boston's by far the better team. Um, I don't know what my original prediction was, but I'm still picking. I think Boston at 5. It wouldn't. Now that you kind of bring it up, it wouldn't shock me if there's like a big game tonight and Cleveland takes this game and they just win in 6. But I don't think. I don't think at all this series gets past 6 games.
I it's gonna be I think Boston in six.
That's fair.
I'm gonna be watching the game tonight for sure, but
Yeah, I don't. But even still, you don't think there's no way this goes to a game 7.
no,
It
no, I
just
don't think so.
that would be nuts. But yeah. Let's start with the other 1 seed then, or go over to the next 1 seed then. OKC, Dallas tied at 2-2. They play tonight as well, right?
Yes,
I'm
they
pretty
play
sure they
tonight
do.
at 9:30 on TNT.
Okay. What, dude? I hate living in the East Coast because we can't even watch half these games. I got to get up for work in the morning, man. uh, but last or what was that? Was that Monday night? Luka Doncic misses the game time free throws to send it to overtime, and the Thunder end up winning the game by 4 points to tie the series 2-2. Let me ask you this: which team has momentum right now?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I feel like it's for me, it's kind of even
Mm-hmm.
because it's been split. Two games have been won at home, two games have been won at away. So there's no dynamic like that. I don't know. I really don't because this series has been kind of even both ways. Like game 1 was a blowout win. Game 2 kind of a blowout win, 9 points, almost 10. But then games 3 and 4 were both decided within 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
I think Dallas still has it a little bit. Losing that game where you could potentially go up 3-1 definitely sucks, and they definitely lost some momentum out of that. But I think they still have it, and the reason I say that is they are tied 2-2 with the 1 seed in the West, while Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic cannot score the basketball. Kyrie
Yeah.
had 9 points Monday night. Luka had 18. That is the least amount of points they've had as a duo together. Like, factually. That is the least amount of points they've had as a duo, and they lost by 4 points. It, Kyrie Irving has not been very good this series offensively. He's been passing well, and he's actually been playing pretty good defense. If you watch these games, like he's playing pretty good defense for a guy like Kyrie Irving really can. He's undersized. He's not going to be like a lockdown defender, but he's been playing pretty actually good defense, and it's helped him. Luka, we've been talking about this the entire playoffs. He just has not looked healthy. He's got his knee injuries. I don't know if you saw that photo where he got up and his knees were bleeding. Like
Yeah, I've seen that.
it's like Luka's not healthy. Kyrie can't score the basketball, and we're tied 2-2, and potentially could have been up 3-1 if we hit the free throws. Like I think this Mavericks team they need Kyrie to start scoring. They need Luka to start scoring. You know what I mean? They for them to win the series, Kyrie and Luka have to be better. But I think you have momentum because it's like, you know what, guys, our star two guards could not do anything offensively. They could not score the ball offensively, and we lost by 4. We could have we could have went to overtime with the free throws. Didn't happen. They ended up getting the free throws at the end. Blah blah blah. I think you take that. I think you take that, and you still have the momentum. PJ Washington gives you another 21 points. I mean, he's been very, very good this playoffs. I know you have a thing against him because of the Grant Williams trade, but you got to admit PJ Washington's been pretty damn good these playoffs.
I was gonna say, like, so far, like, even just in this series alone, I have to give PJ his flowers, and I could damn near say for this series against OKC, he could be the. Let me just say this for this series, right?
Hmm.
He's probably been one of the most impactful players for
I
Dallas,
would agree.
and you could argue that if this series was the conference finals, he would have his name in there for
That's
Western
that's nuts.
MVP.
I can't say you're wrong. That's just nuts to actually hear.
Yeah,
I mean, PJ
it's
Washington
wild.
potentially being in the running for Western Conference Finals MVP. Oh my God. And
Yeah,
yeah, like I said, it's the second
that's
round, so it really doesn't matter. But I get exactly what you're saying, and I cannot disagree with you at all. Um,
yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
if you look at his games against OKC, first game he only had 10 points. He only shot the ball 7 times. Game two he drops 29 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, 4 assists.
mhm,
Game three he drops 27 points, 6 rebounds, and game four he dropped 21 and 12 with a block.
mhm,
And he's shooting good from three.
mhm.
So far this series, he's shooting 51% from three, which is absurd to hear from PJ Washington. I'm just gonna say that.
So to take a step a different direction, real quick, just to take a little bit of here. Um, Actually, that video never came out because we had trouble with it. We tried to do our first over the camera episode. Remember that? And then it didn't, like for some reason it just wouldn't post. But
Yep.
we graded teams' trades like through the past season and stuff like that. And I don't remember what we gave the Grant Williams PJ Washington trade, but I feel like that grade for the Mavericks has to be much higher now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like you knew what you were getting out of PJ,
Hmm.
but to see this type of performance in a playoff series of this significance for Dallas, it's more than what you expected.
And I don't even want to talk about this too much because I don't want to talk down on this guy. He got his bag and all that kind of stuff. But I'm afraid Grant Williams did exactly what I was afraid of. I don't know if you remember. I think it was last season. This is before the podcast. We were just talking while playing video games and stuff like that. I made the comment about because we knew Grant Williams was going to be a pending free agent, and it's like it was obviously the talk like, does he maybe take a pay cut and stay with the Celtics, or does he go get his bag somewhere else? And I was like, a lot of times players find value with teams. Grant Williams is a good player. Like I don't want to sit here and act like he's not a good player. He's a good player. But the role he had on that Celtics team was perfect for him, and he did it really, really well. He took the bag, which I can't be mad at. He's getting his money. I cannot be mad at him for that at all. He took his bag to go to Dallas and didn't perform up to the contract, had his problems there, gets traded to Charlotte. Now he's on a team that's a bottom feeder while making a lot of money. And it's like, I don't want to say ruined because he's making his money. But I think leaving the Celtics for a bag, career-wise, is really going to be a big turning point for Grant Williams for the worse.
But I understand that. I do 100%, but you also have to look at the entire arc of Grant in Boston, right?
Hmm.
He started out, I believe, Brad Stevens was his coach. Didn't play a lot, And then they bring in Ime, I think his third year. Ime is a defensive styled coach,
Hmm.
right? He played a lot, especially in the playoffs. I believe that was when he had his his nuclear game in Game 7 against the Bucks, which helped win them the series.
Yeah,
I believe it was Game 7. And then Joe Mazzulla comes around his fourth year. That's his contract year. Joe Mazzulla is an offensive styled coach.
100%.
Grant Williams did not fit the system and
That's
style that
true.
Joe Mazzulla wanted to play.
That's true.
So could he have stayed? Possibly, but I just don't think for how Joe Mazzulla wanted to
Hmm.
design this team, and with them bringing in Porzingis, I just don't think it was an option unless he took a significant pay cut.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
And I guess, yeah, you're definitely right about that. I kind of forgot about the whole Missoula thing, but I guess just to the other point of it's like him going to Dallas was a good move in the sense of like he got paid and he went to a team that's trying to compete. You know what I mean? He didn't sign like if he would have signed that bag with the Wizards, it would have been like, bro, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But he signed with a team that's supposed to compete, and well, obviously they are. But between whatever happened, there was reports that he wasn't getting along with teammates, and I mean, even himself, he wasn't playing well himself. So you know what I mean? He gets traded to Charlotte, and I think it's just like it was a domino effect where like I said, he's now one of those guys where he kind of he's not making as much money as Gordon Hayward was, but he kind of took that place as like the guy on the Charlotte Hornets that makes a lot of money that doesn't play up to that. And then we saw Gordon Hayward get traded to OKC and barely touched the floor in these playoffs. You know what I mean? I'm just worried Grant Williams because he's going to be playing on a team that's the Hornets going to be bad for a while. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm afraid he's going to completely lose his value as a player because he affects winning basketball. That's what he does. Well, those kind of players don't really work out on teams that don't win games because it's like his effect isn't seen as much. So unless he gets himself traded to another team that's like trying to compete and he can fit into, if he finishes his contract in Charlotte, his market might be tanked.
I can agree with you on that. I really can, but I do think as long as he doesn't just absolutely go into the toilet with his playing,
Right.
I think in the next year or two, there's going to be a contender out there that they're looking for a hard nosed type of player. You know what I mean? That can go out there and just hustle. They're not looking to score a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And can hit corner threes. They'll go out and trade for him and eat that contract when it's only like it's his last year. You know
Right.
what I mean? Last year or two, and they'll eat the contract just to try and get a little bit of help for that team.
Mm. I just like it was a little side step. I just definitely think what I was afraid of happening to Grant Williams is kind of what's happening to him right now, and it sucks because I think he's a good solid role player, and I know you're a big fan of him because he went to Tennessee for sure, and then ended up on Celtics. So it just kind of sucks seeing a player like that. He's damn near completely forgotten now because of where he is.
Yep.
But to get off that tangent because it was a PJ Washington started that tangent and talk about because they were traded for each other. Obviously, um, they play again tonight, and Game 5 means they are going to be in OKC. They're going to be in OKC tonight because then Game 6 will be in Dallas, and then Game 7 will be back in OKC. Who do you have tonight?
I have OKC. I have OKC. I think Shea is gonna go. He's been playing good, but I feel like he just takes it to another level.
He went off last night, or Monday night in that game.
I think he's gonna do even better. I'm predicting a 50-point outing tonight.
Oh, dude, if that hits, that's a very, very good take, but that's a bold take.
I know everyone's with the memes. Shea only gets 31 and stops, but I think Shea knows the significance of this game 5, and he knows that that they have to win. OKC has to win, and I think he just absolutely takes over. And I think I feel like he goes for a 50 bomb.
Maybe. I mean, I also think you're kind of Jalen Williams, J Dub, hasn't been great this series. He was good in the first series against the Pelicans, but hasn't been great this series against Dallas. Maybe you're looking for him to take a step up tonight. and kind of show out because Josh Giddey can't play. They can't play him. He's getting like 10, 12 minutes a game now. He can't shoot. Whatever. Um, Lou Dort is still going to probably get the Luka assignment, the Kyrie Irving assignment, that kind of thing. Chet is just, we know what Chet is. I don't know. They're going to need Shea to go off. If Jalen Williams still can't put together a big offensive night, they're going to need him to go off. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons the series is 2-2 because they're not getting the Jalen Williams they want and expected out of him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take OKC too, just because like I know we keep saying like once Luke and Kyrie are like once Luke is healthy, they'll be back up. Once Kyrie Irving can start scoring the ball again, we're back up. And like Kyrie Irving's been a scorer his entire life, so you expect at some point in this series he's going to get back to what Kyrie Irving does. Same way with Luka Doncic, but it's like it just hasn't happened through 4 games. When are we just going to be like maybe it's just not happening? You know what I mean? And they can turn it on. They can. Luka and Kyrie could both come out and drop 30 tonight, and like they win a big way that way. But I just think Shea is the one that's on fire. Like you said, he had the big game to finish out the game Monday night. Shea's the one with momentum, and he's on fire. So yeah, while I think the Mavericks team is okay, like I think they still have the momentum because they lost that game with their star players not playing great, and they're like, okay, we can build on this. I just think it's more likely Shea comes out and has a big game than I expect from Luka and Kyrie Irving tonight.
Yeah, and off of what you're saying with the whole Kyrie thing, I mean, we've seen Kyrie in bigger games than this, and he's performed. You know what I mean? Like in I think it was Game 7 of the 2016 Finals when he hit that fadeaway jump shot, or just that run right there to come back 3-1.
Yeah.
And Kyrie has now, I mean, I don't want to say he's kind of been shit in the bed a little bit.
Offensively, he's been passing
Yes.
pretty well, and his defense has been pretty good. But offensively, yes.
His scoring the ball, it has not been where we think it should be, especially with Luka playing inefficiently like he is. But no, I think OKC takes it. I really do.
What about for the series? Where do you think this series goes?
I think it goes 7.
I agree.
I think it goes 7, and then I think Game 7 is a coin flip. It's gonna be whoever wants it more per se. You know what I mean?
Well, how about this one? You gave your bold take for the Shea 50 bump tonight. I'll give my bold take for this series too.
Oh shit!
This is going to go to Game 7 in OKC. The Thunder are going to win Game 7 by 4 to 5 points. It's going to be a close game.
Okay.
Shea's going to have 46 points.
Oh shit!
Shea's going to have 46. Chet's going to have a double-double, and J-Dub's going to have like 23. I'm just throwing that out there. I think if that comes true, hey, listen, you got to subscribe if that's true. But I just called off there. But I just
that's just out of the blue. Just that's a hip fire shot right there.
It is, but the reasoning behind it is, you can't tell me it doesn't feel storybook. Shea was an MVP candidate this year. Some people think he got snubbed from getting MVP. Either way, he was top 3 in voting, top 2 in most cases. This is the first playoffs we've had of Shea as the star. Because the last time he was in the playoffs, he was like second fiddle to Chris Paul in that team when he was young. This is the first playoffs Shea's had as like the guy. And it just feels like what we saw from Anthony Edwards earlier this playoffs, where he had those couple 40-point games. Like, he had those big statement games. We're going to get the big statement game, Game 7, from Shea. It's going to be the game where, well, we got it. Game 4 was a big statement game for him. And I think he's going to finish the series with another big one.
I'm here for it. I hope it happens.
Me too. I really like Luka and Kyrie. I like this Dallas team, and I think it'd be a cool story for them to make the conference finals. But OKC is a really fun team, and I like them too. And this is a series where, like, no matter who wins, I'm happy. I'm like happy for whoever wins and sad for whoever loses, no matter who wins this series.
Yeah.
It's just I really really like both these teams. I really like the players on both these teams. I agree. This series needs to go 7 games. Between this series and Denver Minnesota, I want to see 7 games of.
Oh, I hope the New York Indiana goes. I hope all 3 series other than Boston goes 7.
So we'll go ahead and move on to them now. The reason I don't want the Knicks series to go to 7 is because, my God, dude, they are hurt.
They
They
are.
are hurt. Mitch Robinson's out for the playoffs. Julius Randle's out for the playoffs. Bojan Bogdanovic is out for the playoffs, and OG Anunoby is missed the past 2 or 3 games.
Hmm.
They are decimated right now.
And yet they still won by, I
And
believe, 30 last game.
yeah, don't pay attention to this game 5 here. I had to sim this game and the Denver game because start today didn't have those games, so like don't worry about those scores. But yeah, yeah, I just in case somebody looks at it, and be like, that's 6 points, not 30. I'll pull it up. Yeah, they won 121-91. That is exactly 30 points, and I mean it's exactly who you thought it was. It was Jalen Brunson giving you 44 points. I mean,
That's inspirational.
I,
That's
he's
he's been
we made I think we said last episode Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson have been the best 2 players on the playoffs so far, and it's been the same exact thing still.
yep.
I mean, I know Jalen Brunson had this couple of down games with the injuries, and they lose the 2 games to the Pacers, but he comes back in Game 5, a big Game 5, because
Oh,
they avoided what happened to the Timberwolves, going up 2-0 and then losing 3 straight to be down 3-2. If they lose last night and go down 3-2, their season's over. I fully believe that with the way their injuries are, and just like I think the season. But I think winning Game 5, showing us Jalen Brunson showing us he's still the best player on this series. Jalen Brunson's the best player in the series, and I think he came out and he showed that. And I think that this Game 5 was just as important as this Game 7 could be.
oh, 100%. 100%. I'm not gonna lie. I expected a lot more out of Indiana in Game
They
Five.
they just didn't really. I don't know. It was just they didn't really show up.
They didn't, and it just. I mean, Spicy P, 7 for 15, 2 for 3 from three, 22 points, 8 rebounds.
Hmm.
But then Halliburton, only 5 assists, 13 points. I I I don't know. This Indiana Pacer team is weird, very weird right now. Because let's be honest, we probably all thought that this was gonna be the Pacers up 3-2 right now.
With the way the momentum
You know
was
what I
going,
mean?
yes, yeah.
Exactly. But Jalen Brunson said not so fast, dropped 44, and now we're in a reverse scenario to where if if the Knicks catch another hot streak, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I legitimately think whoever won that Game 5 is going to win this series. It's Indiana could push it to a Game 7. It wouldn't surprise me. And then I think if this goes Game 7, I think as the Knicks you are worried because they played Madison Square Garden. A Game 7 in the playoffs in Madison Square Garden just is reeking of a Tyrese Halliburton big game.
Yep.
It just players have big games in the Garden, and it would either be Pascal Siakam going for 40 or Tyrese going for like 35 and 12 assists.
Yeah, this other than I think other than the one blowout I believe that's happened this series, I think it was only one. This has been arguably the best series so far. It's been physical, it's been gritty. I'm loving it. I really am.
Hmm.
I hope the Knicks. I hope the Knicks can pull this out. I really do because I love the Knicks.
Well, I guess the past 2 games have been blowouts. The Pacers blew out the Knicks in Game 4, then the Knicks kind of blew out the Pacers in Game 5.
Hey,
But the first 3 games were very close, yes.
yeah, but hey, that's just gearing up for a Game 6, 2 point game winning three.
Ooh, it's gonna be Josh Hart. He
It,
hit the
it,
ga-
I,
he hit it against the 76ers. Why can't he hit it against the Pacers?
Isaiah Hartenstein's gonna grab an offensive rebound, kick out to Josh Hart on the right wing. He's gonna let it go. Time's gonna expire as the ball's in midair. It's going through,
Oh yeah,
and the Knicks are gonna be in the conference finals.
I could not even imagine the Knicks in the conference, dude.
It's been so
They've like
long.
not been good my entire life basically. So for them to be in the conference finals would actually be nuts. I'm trying to see if I can see any updates about OG. Um, I'm not. I'm not seeing any updates about him potentially coming back. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, Chris Haynes on OG Anunoby. Target possibly the Eastern Conference Finals. He's doing everything he can to get back ASAP, but from what I was told, it's looking more like a likely return for the Eastern Conference Finals. So there's a chance
Ooh.
OG's just out for the rest of the series, which hurts. Definitely hurts because he was doing a good job of playing defense on Pascal. But I mean, they've won 2 games without him. I think because I think he hasn't played since like game 2. So they've won 2 games without him, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Does OG being out for the rest of the series change your opinion on this series?
No, no, it doesn't. OG was a very key piece to this Knicks team, but Dante DiVincenzo, granted, he did have a bad game
Mm-hmm.
last game. He only went 4 for 14. He had 8 points. That was a bad game for him. He's going to bounce back. Josh Hart has been good this entire playoff so far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he's like the fourth in rebounds per game so far in the playoffs. And he's averaging like 12. And he's like top 5, which is insane.
Yeah.
Brunson's going to go for 30 again next game. Hartenstein is going to do what they need him to do. This is just, I don't know. I just like this Knicks team, even with OG out, because people have stepped up when
Yeah.
needed to.
And I think honestly, them getting blown out in Game 4 might have been for the better, because Jalen Brunson only played 31 minutes, Hartenstein only played 22, Josh Hart only played 24 when dude's been playing 40 plus minutes. Like they pulled out a lot of their starters got pulled out in the second half of that game because they were losing so much. In this Knicks team, we saw the stats where Josh Hart like didn't sit on the bench until like Game 4 of the series, Game 3 or Game 4.
Yeah,
Like
and
Tom Thibodeau's
he
had these
loves it.
guys. Yeah, yeah. Tom Thibodeau's been having these guys out there the entire game. So them having like basically a break in the second half of Game 4 might be part of the reason they came out more ready to go in Game 5.
And I mean, but like, there was a video I seen. Josh Hart was getting subbed out of the game, and he was pissed that he was getting subbed out.
Yeah.
Josh Hart has a lot of heart,
Yes, he
and
does.
he wants to be out there. He does not want to be sitting there watching. He wants to be out there playing and making a difference for this Knicks team, which I love.
Yeah, he's really that trio of the Villanova boys. They've affected this Knicks team, and it's like it's funny. How do I say this without sounding disrespectful? Because it's really no disrespect at all. But it's like we saw flashes of Jalen Brunson in Dallas, but you'd be lying if you told anybody you expected this kind of performance out of Jalen Brunson once he signed with the Knicks. It's not who he was. It's not what you expected out of him. So the fact you have him, Dante DiVincenzo, who was floating around the Kings, the Bucks as like an okay player, and then Josh Hart, who was like on the Lakers, the Pelicans. I think there's one other team he was on. Maybe not. Maybe it was just those two. But again, floating around role player, and now they're like the 3 best players on a playoff run for the Knicks. It's like nuts.
He was in Portland.
Oh, that was only for a short amount of time, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was 2 seasons in LA, 3 seasons in New Orleans, 2 seasons in Portland, and now
Was it
this is
two
his second
seasons?
season.
Kind of
Yep,
really.
he spent it was 1.5 seasons, I should say. He got traded. He played 51 games for Portland last year
Was
and got
that
traded.
that was for the? I think that was a trade where Larry Nance came to the Pelicans from Portland. I
Could have
think.
been. Yeah, in 2021, 2022, he got traded from the Pelicans to Portland, and then in 2022, 2023, he got traded from Portland to New York. So he spent practically overall a season in Portland.
I want to see if I can.
If you add it up, kind of like game wise type deal.
Oh, okay. Here it is. Here it is. Is there a way that will it give me a real? Will it?
Yeah, but Josh Hart, this is his 14th, and to come out and play like he has been, I'm here for it. I really am. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Where we go? Okay. On February 8th, 2022, the Portland Trailblazers acquired Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Tomas Satoransky, Didi Louzada, a protected 2022 first-round draft pick, the better of New Orleans and Portland's 2026 second-round pick, in exchange for C.J. McCollum, Larry Nance, and Tony Snell. That was a C.J. McCollum trade. Okay, okay, I remember that now. Yeah. Um, that's kind of a funny trade. Nickeil Alexander Walker's part of that trade too, and now he's like, I know he kind of struggled the past like two or so games for the Timberwolves, but Nickeil Alexander Walker's been great for the Timberwolves this season. So it's funny
Yeah,
how C.J. McCollum was the best player in that trade, yet the two role players he was traded for are deeper in his playoffs, playing great,
yeah, yeah. It's
and neither
the
one of them for
NBA.
Portland. Neither one of them for Portland.
Yeah, it's the NBA is weird when it comes to trades sometimes because you never know. You could have a name get traded, and then in a season or two, he's one of the best players on the team. Like
Yeah,
obviously, like we've been seeing, but damn, that was a hell of a trade
man.
just for the Pelicans to get swept by OKC this year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, oh yeah. Well, speaking of the Pelicans, just because the reports are saying that it's damn near guaranteed Brandon Ingram's going to be traded this offseason.
I don't know what the trade package would look like, but I'd say send Ingram to the Hawks and get DeJounte Murray, get a true point guard in there.
I've a wrench to throw in that. You want to hear it?
Yes.
We've seen the backcourt of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland not really worked. They're both good players, but they just can't really seem how to play together.
Okay.
And your options are you potentially lose Donovan Mitchell to free agency to the Knicks or something like that. But maybe you can convince Donovan Mitchell to stay if you give him more point guard duties and give him like a more non-ball needy shooting guard, or give him a non-ball needy point guard and let him run the show as a shooting guard like he did in Utah.
Okay.
You then get Brandon Ingram and you trade Darius Garland to the Pelicans.
I like that.
You give. I think Darius Garland and that Pelicans team could be really really nice. You
Yeah,
tra- and the
I could
Cavs
see
get
that.
Brandon Ingram.
That benefits both teams.
hmm
Really, really good. I do like that. That's an interesting one.
That's the best point guard Zion's had in the NBA by far. I mean,
Yeah.
CJ McCollum's cool, but he's not like a true point guard.
No, that was like that's like the Suns running Grayson Allen out at point guard or
Or like
Devin
Devin
Booker
Booker
out
and
at point
Bradley
guard.
Beal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's okay, but it's not what you really, really need or really, really want, I should say.
I'm just saying, I don't, because I think they damn near had the same record too. I think the Pelicans only won one more game, or like the Cavs only won one more game, except obviously in the East, the Cleveland's in the 4 seed and Pelicans are in the 8 seed. But it's like, I just think that would benefit. That would just give. It would give Donovan Mitchell a wing scorer that doesn't need the ball in his hand all the time, so he can have the ball. And then it would give the Pelicans. It would give Darius Garland a chance to have the ball in his hands more with a dominant front court player in Zion.
Yeah, that is interesting. That would be very
And then
cool to see.
maybe a guy like who do you, is would Brandon Ingram be the better player in that trade? Right? Would
Yeah,
Brandon Ingram's better than Darius Garland? Are we? I'd probably say that's true.
yeah,
So maybe you need to trade something else, and maybe you get like a I'm trying to think who like maybe you throw in Isaac Okoro in that trade for the Pelicans, like to get him to the Pelicans for like a
maybe.
3. I know he's not like a world beater Isaac Okoro, but because I don't know if you get Max Strus in that. I don't know if the Cavs want to give him Max Strus. But then again, they play the same position, so maybe they would. And if you're the Pelicans, you get Max Strus to play your 3. That's a spacer, because that team needs spacing very badly. Get a 3-point shooter, a spacer, and then a Darius Garland. Pelicans team could be something.
Yeah, it could. It very well could, and I'm here for it. And that trade would go crazy this off if
That
it
would be
happens this off season.
that would definitely be interesting. But okay, yeah. So what do you? I'm thinking Knicks in six, and I'm hoping for their sake, for OG Anunoby's sake, and just for Josh Hart, Dante, even all their players just to have a fucking break for a couple of days. I hope it ends in six.
I hope it ends in six, but I feel like this is going to be like the OKC series. It's going seven, and game seven is going to be a coin toss.
I
I,
could definitely see that.
I do think the Knicks will take the series in seven, but I would not be surprised if the Pacers go into Madison Square Garden and quote unquote steal one
Yeah.
in game seven.
All right, now here's the big series. I wanted to save this for last because it's the most. I feel like there's the most media attention going on for this series.
Yes.
After Minnesota goes to Denver and wins both two games on the road to go up 2-0, they go back home and Denver takes both games at home to tie the series 2-2. They go back to Denver for game 5, and Jokic dominates them to go up 3-2.
Yes.
This is
Um.
literally the worst case scenario for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, we were even talking about that. I don't know if we were talking about it on the podcast or just in our personal time, but we even said like the Timberwolves cannot lose both at home.
Hmm.
They have to take one. They have to make this 3-1 going in to Denver for game 5,
Hmm.
and this has
Well,
just been a this has just been an oh shit scenario for the Timberwolves.
I mean, listen, I've been seeing a lot of hate today for Rudy Gobert on Twitter. I, if you watch that game, there wasn't a goddamn thing Rudy Gobert could have done to stop Jokic.
Yeah, no,
I,
there was not.
a dude was hitting. If we're gonna talk 2K terms, since you're seeing this 2K screen right now, Jokic was hitting 100% smothered layups all night. Hook shots smothered, layups smothered. There was one where he went up and Rudy Gobert damn near hit him in the face. Didn't call a foul, and the ball like hit the top of the backboard and still went in for a layup. And I'm like, okay, like it literally reminds me what Jokic does to the Lakers, where it's like no
that
matter what you do, as soon as he puts that ball up, it's just gonna go in.
that's what I was gonna say. Like we talked about this earlier about how them circus shots that Jokic be doing weren't really falling in during the first round series
Hmm.
against the Lakers. Now they are. We're seeing Jokic with what he was doing last year at this time.
We're seeing why he's MVP.
Yes, exact.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. And I seen something of someone saying, "Oh, well, Anthony Davis didn't get this much hate X, Y, and Z." Well, Anthony Davis is a great defensive player, right?
Hmm.
But you also have to factor in that Rudy Gobert's 4 depoys have been very controversial.
Yeah, they have.
Very controversial, and people have just been downright hating on him, which you can say is deserved, not deserved. I don't think you should hate on anyone, but
You
it
also got
is
to
what it
remember,
is.
Anthony Davis was damn near giving it right back to Jokic. Anthony Davis had a very, very
Yes,
good statistical first round playoff.
he did. And my thing to that is, I actually seen. I think it was Pee Wee the Plug.
Oh yes.
Had something about that. And my thing is just like, Rudy Gobert is not an offensive player, right?
No, not really. Yeah, yeah.
That's why they paired Cat and Rudy, because Rudy will play as good a defense as he can, possibly shut you down, and then you turn around and now Cat's giving it to you offensively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the 1-2 punch to where Davis was doing it all on his own. He was out there, he was grinding, he was playing, but Davis is a far better offensive player than Rudy is.
Hmm.
And I feel like everyone knows that. And to say, like, well, Anthony Davis was giving it back to Jokic, it was true, but you can't hold Davis and Rudy to the same
Oh, not
offensive
at all.
standard. You
Not at all.
can't. Defensively, that's your choice,
Hmm.
because they're both very, very good defensively. But offensively, you can't expect Rudy to do what Davis did.
We also Anthony Edwards only gave us 18 points. He didn't really show up for
Yeah.
this game either. Um,
After dropping 44 the game before.
yeah, yeah. It's just this. I think I vividly remember making this comment to you on Thursday night. We weren't doing the podcast. We were just talking while we were playing a game, and we talked about where you were like, "Damn, like game 2 was on Monday night, but game 3 is not till Friday night for the Timberwolves and Nuggets series." And I was like, that's, if anything, that hurts the Timberwolves because the
Yep.
Timberwolves were running on such high momentum from sweeping the Nuggets and then, or I'm sorry, sweeping the Suns and then going straight into Denver and winning two. Like Anthony Edwards was doing the DX suck it thing in the series. Like they were just running on such high vibes and such high momentum that having a break and allowing them to like relax was the worst thing for them. And we saw it.
Absolutely.
Game three, Denver came out, smacked them in the mouth, and all of a sudden Denver's won three straight and they're up in the series. It's just if the game three gets played on a Wednesday night instead of a Friday night, maybe the Timberwolves are up. Maybe the Timberwolves already won this series, or they're at least at maybe they're up 3-2. You know what I mean? It's like having that four to 5 day gap between games two and three completely killed this Timberwolves team.
Oh, 100%. 100% it did. But it's also the caveat to her, like, you can't lose that momentum. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like,
it was
you
still
went
on them to
in.
keep it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You went into Denver, a place for all sports that has been difficult to go into and play.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And you took two. And now you're coming back to your home court. That was best case scenario. And now it flipped 180, and now you're in a worst case scenario because you couldn't do anything the past 3 games.
Yeah.
I don't know this. What do you think? Do you think the Timberwolves can take Game 6 and force it to 7?
I think they can. I think they can, but I'm gonna be honest.
Hold,
This series
uh,
might be over.
let me also look at something because when I was watching it, I think we were all talking, and I think no, you went to bed.
Yeah, we going to
You
bed
went to
early. I'm
bed.
tired.
Yeah, you went to bed. Cat went down with an injury,
Mm,
and he got back up, but I don't know the severity of it.
right.
Because it was with his knee.
I didn't see anything about that.
I see he went down and he was gr- granted. It could just be it was just for the theatrics, but he looked like he was some serious happened.
Let me look. I didn't see anything about that, but I'll definitely let's bring it up. Um,
I'm not seeing anything, but
yeah. What if I'll type an injury here and see if I can anything. Cause I don't. I didn't like I said. I didn't see anything about that at all. But I'm not seeing anything about it here either. So I'm assuming he'll be good then.
I'm yeah. That was just my little thing there because I
Oh,
seen it
here we go. Karl
and
Anthony Towns grabbed his knee after colliding with Contavious Caldwell Pope. He remained in the game after walking it off. So it might have just been a little stinger from hitting knees.
okay. Because I did see him go down, and that was a little bit before I went to bed, so I didn't really see the how the rest of it played out.
Yeah.
So that was only my concern because if it was something, then they Timberwolves would be in an even deeper hole than they already are.
Hmm. I mean,
But
how you win
I
this game with Michael Porter Jr. giving you 6 points, and Jamal
yeah.
Murray not. Jamal Murray had 16, and like I think it was like the third or fourth quarter was the only time. This was Jokic's game. This
Oh, one one
if you
hundred
have
percent.
this game, if you're Minnesota and you see Michael Porter Jr. have 6 and Jamal Murray only have 16, and you lose by 15 points, you're wondering what the hell happened. And it's the damn near 40-point triple double Jokic gave you.
100%. I mean, this was just more of a collective effort
Hmm.
per se, because Gordon had 18, Murray had 16, KCP had 16, Braun had 10, and then obviously Jokic had 40.
Yeah.
So it's just like this is like kind of like Denver. Aside from Porter Jr. being inefficient this game, this is the Denver team we were accustomed to.
Yeah. Obviously, you just hope for a little bit more from Jamal Murray, but other than that, yeah.
Like this is insane. If Denver comes out playing like this again, I Timberwolves are cooked.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If the Timberwolves want to have a chance to even salvage this series being down 3-2, they got to come out game 6 and quote unquote punch Denver in the face. Not literally. You don't want to come out and
Yeah.
punch Denver in the face literally, but figuratively, you need to come out and you need to hit him. You need to hit him first. You need to hit him hard, and you can't back off. You back off, Jokic is going to see that, and he's going for another 40 triple double. Like they cannot be afraid.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really worried the series could be over. I mean, going from up 2-0 to then tied 2-2 and then losing game 5 and being down 3-2. I just don't know if Minnesota has it in them anymore. I I don't know. Like I said, this series might go 7 games, and I hope it does go 7 games, but I think Denver's showing you why. I mean, they're the reigning champions. They have the MVP. They do win MVP 3 out of the past 4 seasons. Like, they are the best team in the West, I fully believe. OKC had a better record than them, but I still believe Denver's the best team in the Western Conference. And after a very sluggish start to the playoffs, they were able to get past the Lakers because we're not good. And then they came out and got punched in the mouth by Minnesota, and that might have been enough to wake them up. And we've been basically been seeing 3 games of like I said, the Nuggets were accustomed to for the most part. Um, and maybe OKC and Dallas are pissed off now because it's like Minnesota came out and smacked them in the mouth and woke them up. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're like, oh shit, Denver's gonna just walk through this Western Conference.
They punched him in the face, woke him up, and didn't finish the job.
Basically, yeah,
I mean, it could be a thing to where like Minnesota wins the first 2, loses the next 3, and then wins the last 2. Similar to I know it's a different sport, but the I think it was the Nationals when they won the pennant. They won the first 2 away, lost 3 at home, then won 2 away. Obviously, it's a different format, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
I I hope Minnesota wins, but we're probably looking at Denver in the Western Conference Finals again.
I remember when we did the episode last week, they were already up 2. Minnesota was already up 2-0, and I was like, I gave we gave our predictions, and was like, okay, like we gave our predictions, our normal predictions versus like we gave our pre-series prediction and then our predictions as the first game or 2 had already happened. And I said my original prediction was Denver in 7, but my new prediction was like Minnesota in maybe 5 or 6. Well, my original projection might end up being true. Um, I just wasn't. I was not expecting Minnesota to fall flat 3 straight games.
No, I thought they'd at least get one of the 3. Even coming home, I thought they'd get Game 5 at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to get a little bit
No.
momentum,
Game
But
5 was in Denver. 3 and 4 were in Minnesota.
that's right. I thought they would have at least taken Game 4 at home
Yeah.
and went up 3-1, and then I presume they were going to lose Game 5. They would put them up 3-2 heading back to Minnesota.
Mm.
I this has just been this has been one of the biggest flop jobs I've ever seen in basketball.
It sucks too. Like 2-0 obviously isn't the same as like a 3-0 or a 3-1 lead, but being up when you go back home up 2-0 and then go back on the road tied 2-2 and then lose that, like that's tough. If they would have if Minnesota would have been home games 1 and 2 and 1 and then lost games 3 and 4, been like you can kind of understand that on like lost games 3 and 4 on the road, you can kind of like get that. But yeah, going and winning 2 on the road and then losing 2 at home is nuts.
It's criminal.
So I'm gonna rock with Denver in 7, my original prediction. What do you got?
I'm gonna go Minnesota in 7.
Okay. Okay. Hey, I appreciate you still have faith in that team, man. I appreciate
I
that.
do, I have faith. How long that lasts, who knows? But
Yeah, I get that for sure. Well, that's kind of just what we think about the last games. Saturday, I guess. What? All these series could be over, couldn't they? Maybe.
what
Could
is it
they?
by Saturday?
Yeah, by Saturday.
Let me let's see. Saturday. Saturday is going to be Game 6 for the Thunder Mavs series.
Okay, and Game 7 for okay, but what I'm saying is these all could potentially be over because
Yes.
Game 6 is tomorrow for Denver, Minnesota. Um, the Boston plays tonight. That series could be over. The Knicks and the Pacers, their next game is probably what tomorrow, Friday night. So that series could be over. And then OKC and Dallas, you said Game 6 is what Friday night as well.
I believe so, yeah. In theory, if all of these games go 7, 3 of them are going to be played Sunday, May 19th. If they all go 7, including the Cavs Celtics. 3 of
Okay.
them will be finished then.
No,
And
Game 6
then
for Thunder Mavericks is until Saturday. So
yeah,
for sure, I thought it was gonna be Friday, but they're playing today. Is game okay? Okay, okay, okay. Um, so for sure, OKC and Dallas will still be going on, but there's a potential these other three series could be over by the next time we see you guys.
pretty much, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see. We might have a conference final matchup preview. If not, that'll be Wednesday then. But it'll probably be a game or so into it. Whatever. That is what it is. Um, we'll figure that out. Is there anything else you want to talk about, touch on before we get on?
Just quickly touch on it. The lottery happened.
Yes, yes. The NBA lottery happened
Pistons fell to 5. They fell out of the first pick again.
again. Yes.
Again, it went to the Hawks. So are we seeing a potential to where the Hawks are like, you know what? Let's just clean house and let's just restart. You know what I mean?
I could
Because they
see that.
weren't expected to get number 1,
No.
right? And there's a scenario, we've been talking about it for a while. The Hawks look at the Spurs and go, hey, we'll give you Trae Young, you give us, number 8, number 8, Keldon Johnson, so the contracts line up, and maybe a second rounder, and let's just make this thing work. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
I guess the only thing that makes me worried for the Hawks cleaning house is that there's not really any. There's some good prospects, but I don't know how many of these prospects you're looking at to end up being a superstar franchise player. And it's like, how much do you want to clean house for guys that just might not be a team leader?
Or instead of like a pick this year, a pick next year.
Right, but what I'm saying is like you have one this year, but maybe this isn't a draft class where it's like we know we're getting a future superstar, so why are we going to trade our superstar?
Fair.
Like
Fair.
I think if this is like a Hawks team with Wemby's in the draft, you can look at it two ways. Either it's like you add Wemby to this Hawks team, or the Hawks look at it and it's like, okay, we tried this timeline with Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. Let's move on from the timeline and start with a new one with Vic. But it's like they don't really have that in this draft class.
No, they don't.
So it's like I I get the but I'm just saying you could bring on like a very very good player that could play right away at one, and that's the only thing where it's like I don't know if they're going to trade away because it's like who like they take Alex Sarr. I don't know if Alex Sarr is the guy they're going to be able to build a team around as him being the best player.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know if I want to trade away my surefire. I already have a star in Trae Young. I don't know if I want to trade him away if I know I'm probably not getting a star on this first pick.
But to that is like, how long are you actually going to have Trey
I
before
yeah.
he decides to leave when his contract's up?
I mean obviously yeah that's definitely a possibility too.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. Unless the Hawks do something, I think Trey's gonna leave.
I don't know.
I really do.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that situation enough to even call it out.
Hey, but it's all speculation. I mean, hell, the Hawks could trade Trey for number 4 and then turn around and trade 1 and 4 and something else for a superstar.
Yeah. I mean I guess it could.
It could be a wild thing, but
Well yeah I'll just go ahead here. We'll list off. One is Atlanta, two is Washington, three is Houston, four San Antonio, five is Detroit, six is Charlotte, seven's Portland, eight's also San Antonio. I think from the Raptors. Um, nine's Memphis, ten's Utah, 11's Chicago, 12's OKC from I don't remember who the OKC one's from. Sacramento's at 13 and Portland's at 14. Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
that is the NBA lottery this year. It's gonna be interesting.
we could even see. the Spurs just trade 8 and 4 and go get someone.
I mean, they could. I think they definitely keep at least one of them. Um,
But like you said, this draft is not a very hard hitting draft.
well, yeah. But I think the Spurs and the Hawks are in two different positions with their timeline.
Yeah,
The Hawks are trying to be in a more win now mode than the Spurs are being, and I think the Spurs are okay with bringing in more young talent to build. Where it's like the Hawks are like, no, we have Trae Young, we have DeJounte Murray, we're trying to win. And it's like, I don't know if maybe you bring in Alex Sarr, then it's like you got to figure out with him and Clint Capella, Nneka, and Jalen Johnson. You know what I mean? It's like I just feel like they're at two different spots. So this draft class is okay, like is pretty decent for a team like the Spurs. They're looking to build pieces around Wemby, but the Hawks that are like trying to either win now or find their superstar, I don't think this draft's great for them.
hey, it's going to be interesting to say the least about this draft
Or
class.
at least that one, because like there's obviously role
Yeah,
players that are going to be taken later in this draft that are going to contribute right away, but this is a weird draft, and the Hawks are kind of a weird team to have one.
yeah. I mean, didn't they have like the fourth lowest odds?
Yeah, they definitely jumped up.
Yeah, it was something else.
Um,
But we'll just see when it comes around to draft night.
oh, definitely.
We'll see if
When
anyone moves up, moves down.
that's not till like June or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for a little bit.
NBA.
Wednesday, June 26th,
That's a day before my birthday. Okay, cool.
and then round two is Thursday, June 27th.
Hell yeah, my birthday's on a Thursday this year. Okay, be taking that off for sure. Oh, the big 23, baby. God damn.
Damn, you're old, man.
I know. Well, now that that got depressing, is there anything else you want to talk about before we move get on out
um,
of here?
Not really. Not
Well,
really at all.
I hope you guys are enjoying the streamed version. I think that I gotta try to find a way to like point fingers because it definitely got our last episode definitely got way less views than normal. I don't know if people just aren't seeing it because it's a stream versus like a video. I'm gonna try to figure that out. But this is just easier for us to talk, and I know it's not like crazy visuals, but you guys can at least see like the games of the series and that kind of stuff. And it's better than just looking at a picture the entire time. Maybe only a little bit better, but still better. Um, Go check out my YouTube, Cloud2K. I do basketball, I do football, and I try to put out 3 videos a week. As you guys are seeing this, I'm very shortly going to be getting a video for the Lakers up, a Lakers rebuild, because I know people love watching the Lakers. Watch my Patriot Dynasty series. We kind of on a bit of a win streak right now. I don't, you know what I mean? Um,
I traded for a superstar corner.
I did. Go ahead, Levi. You can shout out.
Garbage gamer. I have a Madden Super Bowl Run Challenge series going on. The last episode was with the Cowboys. Me and see if we actually won something or not.
Yeah.
So there's that. I should have another episode here in the next couple of days to come out. But
Heck yeah.
yeah, go check me out.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Timeout with J and G, and we will see you guys on Saturday. Peace.